In today's activity, you're going to play a card game called Eat or Be Eaten. In this game, you'll make food chains using animals and plants. You may have seen these animals and plants before, but you may not have thought much about what they eat or what eats them. There are a few dozen cards that look like this. The text on each card tells you what a plant or animal eats, or what it's eaten by. You're going to pick cards from a stack and use the cards to make food chains. You make a food chain by setting cards side by side, so an animal is next to its food. Here's a very simple food chain. Beetles eat caterpillars. But you'll get more points for a long food chain. So you need to think about how to make a chain that's longer than just 2 cards. You can add to the end of this chain by asking, well, what does the caterpillar of a moth eat? By reading the card, you'll find out that they eat rotting wood, like this log. Now, you can also add to the other side of the chain by asking, well, what eats beetles? One animal that eats beetles is a raccoon. So you could add a raccoon to the beginning of the chain. If you're really sneaky, you can look for ways to make a chain longer from the middle by asking yourself, well, what else eats beetles? It turns out frogs eat beetles, and raccoons eat frogs. Now there are more than 4 cards in the food chain. For a food chain this long, you'll get bonus points. You can make more than one food chain at a time, too. Make as many food chains as you can. Okay, here we go. I'll walk you through how to play, step by step. Get into groups of 4. These will be the people you're playing against. You can also play in groups of 2 or 3. When you're done with this step, click the arrow on the right. Get your supplies. Each group needs 1 set of card sheets and a rules sheet. Each person also needs a pair of scissors and a scorecard. Cut the dotted lines on each card sheet to make a set of cards. Make sure you cut all 5 card sheets so that you have 39 cards. One person mix up the cards, then put them in a stack face down. After you do this, go to the next step. We'll go through the first round together. Let's walk through the first turn together so you know how to play. The first player takes a card, reads the whole card aloud, then puts it face up in front of them. Any other players should do this now, taking turns, then go on to the next slide. Now the game gets interesting. On the next turn, and every other turn, you can either pick a card from the center stack or steal a card from another player if you can use it. But there's one rule. You can't steal a card if it's already part of a food chain. Okay, so with that in mind, each player play 1 more turn now, then move on to the next step for your final instructions. Keep taking turns and make as many food chains as you can. If you get confused, check the rules sheet. When you run out of time or when you run out of cards, go to the next step to figure out your score. Fill out your scorecard. Write down your longest chain and figure out your score. Did you win? Once you figure it out, go to the next slide to discuss. 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 Discuss.